Chapter 7. Echoes of the Past. Months passed since the harrowing night at the lake, and spring began to thaw the frozen landscape of Frosthaven. The villagers returned to their routines, their spirits lifted by the newfound peace. Father Parson, too, felt a sense of accomplishment, though he couldn't shake the lingering feeling that something remained unfinished. One evening, as he was closing the church after a late service, a stranger arrived in Frosthaven. Dressed in a long, dark coat, the man had a scholarly air about him, with piercing eyes that seemed to take in every detail. "Father Parson?" the man asked, extending a hand. "My name is Dr. Elias Granger. I've come to study the legends surrounding your village and the lake. I understand you've had some experiences recently." Father Parson hesitated, but then shook the man's hand. "Yes, Dr. Granger. There's much to discuss. Please come inside." They settled in the church's modest rectory, a pot of tea warming them against the evening chill. Dr. Granger pulled out a leather-bound notebook, its pages filled with meticulous notes and sketches. "I've been researching phenomena like the one you described," Dr. Granger began. "Ancient curses, supernatural occurrences. Your lake is not unique in its malevolence. There are other places, other stories, that share common threads." Father Parson listened intently as Dr. Granger spoke of other haunted locations and the rituals used to contain their dark forces. The scholar's knowledge was vast, and his theories both intriguing and disturbing. "But there's one thing that concerns me," Dr. Granger said, leaning forward. "You performed the ritual and freed the trapped souls, but such dark places often leave an imprint, an echo of the past. Have you noticed anything unusual since that night?" Father Parson thought for a moment. "I've felt a presence, a lingering sense that something is watching. And the villagers have reported strange dreams, whispers in the night. I thought it was just our imaginations." Dr. Granger nodded. "The darkness may have been banished, but it often leaves a residue, a shadow that clings to the place. We must ensure that it doesn't regain strength." Chapter 8. The Final Purge. Determined to protect Frosthaven from any lingering threat, Father Parson and Dr. Granger set out to perform a final cleansing ritual. They gathered the necessary items: candles, sacred herbs, and ancient talismans inscribed with protective symbols. The villagers watched with a mix of curiosity and trepidation as the two men made their way to the lake. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the water, which now appeared calm and serene. Dr. Granger set up the ritual space at the water's edge, drawing a large circle in the dirt and placing candles at regular intervals. He handed Father Parson a piece of parchment covered in intricate writing. "This is the final incantation," Dr. Granger explained. "It will bind any remaining darkness and ensure it cannot return. We must be precise and unwavering." As they began the ritual, the wind picked up, swirling around them and causing the candles to flicker. The air grew heavy, charged with a palpable energy. Father Parson could feel the presence growing stronger, a cold, oppressive force pressing down on him. They chanted in unison, their voices rising above the howling wind. The shadows around them seemed to writhe and twist, as if trying to break free from the binding circle. Suddenly, A dark figure emerged from the lake, its form indistinct and shrouded in mist. It moved with an unnatural grace, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. "Leave this place," Father Parson shouted, his voice strong and commanding. "You have no power here." The figure halted, its glowing eyes narrowing. For a moment, it seemed to hesitate, then it let out a guttural scream that echoed across the lake. The candles flared, their flames burning bright and steady. Dr. Granger continued the chant, his voice unwavering. The figure writhed in agony, its form disintegrating as the power of the ritual took hold. With one final, ear-piercing shriek, it vanished, leaving nothing but a thin mist hanging over the water. The wind died down, and the oppressive force lifted. The air felt lighter, cleaner, as if a great burden had been lifted from the land. Chapter 9: New Beginnings. With the final purge completed, Frosthaven entered a period of renewal. The villagers embraced the change, their fears replaced with hope. The lake, once a place of dread, became a symbol of resilience and rebirth. Father Parson and Dr. Granger were hailed as heroes, though they remained humble, knowing that their actions had been guided by a higher purpose. Dr. Granger stayed in Frosthaven for several months, documenting the events and helping the villagers understand the significance of their experiences. As spring turned to summer, the village flourished. The crops grew bountiful, and the townsfolk celebrated with festivals and gatherings, their spirits high. The old church, once abandoned and feared, was restored and became a center of community life. Father Parson continued his duties, his faith stronger than ever. He knew that the battle against darkness was never truly over, but he also knew that with courage and unity, even the greatest challenges could be overcome. One day, as he walked by the lake, he saw a group of children playing by the water's edge. Their laughter was pure and joyful, a stark contrast to the terror that had once plagued the village. He smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. Dr. Granger approached, a satisfied look on his face. "You've done well, Father. The village is thriving, and the darkness has been banished." Father Parson nodded. "Thank you, Dr. Granger. I couldn't have done it without your help." Dr. Granger shook his head. "You had the strength and the faith to face the darkness. I merely provided the knowledge. The true power lies within you and your people." As they stood by the lake, watching the sun set over the water, they knew that Frosthaven's story was one of hope and redemption, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. And so, the winter horror stories of Frosthaven became tales of bravery and triumph, told by the fireside to ward off the cold and remind the villagers that no matter how dark the night, the dawn would always come. Father Parson continued to serve the people of Frosthaven, his faith unshaken and his resolve stronger than ever. He knew that the world was full of mysteries, but he also knew that with courage and compassion, even the greatest darkness could be overcome. The winter horror stories of Frosthaven became tales of bravery and triumph, told by the fireside to ward off the cold and remind the villagers that no matter how dark the night, the dawn would always come. Years passed, and Father Parson grew older, his hair turning silver and his steps slower. Yet his spirit remained strong, and his dedication to Frosthaven never wavered. The village thrived, its people resilient and united. One crisp winter's night, as snow gently fell, Father Parsons sat by the fire, reflecting on the many years he had served the village. He thought of the challenges they had faced and the darkness they had overcome together. His heart was filled with gratitude and peace. As the fire crackled and the shadows danced on the walls, a familiar presence made itself known. Father Parson looked up to see the spectral figure of the young girl from the lake standing before him, her eyes kind and her expression serene. "Thank you, Father," she whispered, her voice like a gentle breeze. "You saved us all." Father Parson smiled, his eyes moist with emotion. "It was not just me. It was all of us, united in faith and courage." The girl nodded, her form shimmering in the firelight. "The darkness is gone, but the light you brought will remain forever. Rest now, Father. You have earned it." With those words, the girl faded away, leaving Father Parson with a sense of profound peace. He closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of the fire and the love of his community surrounding him. As he drifted off to sleep, he knew that Frosthaven was safe, its future bright. The stories of their triumph over darkness would be passed down through generations, a testament to the enduring power of hope and unity. And so, Father Parsons' legacy lived on, a beacon of light in the cold, dark winters of Frosthaven, forever guiding the village through the shadows and into the dawn. Chapter 10: A New Guardian. Father Parsons' passing marked the end of an era in Frosthaven, but his legacy of bravery and hope left a lasting imprint on the village. His funeral was a solemn yet uplifting event, with villagers from all walks of life gathering to honor the man who had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. As the seasons turned and another winter settled in, the villagers found themselves once more gathered by the fireside, sharing tales of Father Parsons' courage and the eerie mysteries of the lake. Among them was a young man named Daniel, who had grown up listening to these stories and feeling a profound connection to the legacy of the late priest. Daniel had always been curious about the supernatural and had spent much of his youth exploring the woods and the edges of the lake, hoping to catch a glimpse of the strange phenomena that had once plagued Frosthaven. Inspired by Father Parsons' bravery, he had recently decided to pursue a path in the clergy, hoping to serve his community as the old priest had. One evening, as the villagers recounted the tales of the haunted lake, Daniel felt a stirring in his heart. He knew it was his calling to continue Father Parsons' work and protect Frosthaven from any future threats.